What's up guys, Aroneous here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. In today's video, I'm going to try to see if you can make it into Gold 2 Live Arena as a free-to-play player without any crazy void legendary champions. So if you've been following me for a while, I've been playing almost 4 years completely free-to-play on this specific account. To all those who've been watching and have subscribed, who have offered their support to my channel, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate every single one of you who actually helped me and paved the path of this channel. We are almost at 3K. I think we're at 2,790 or so, and I just wanted to say thank you to each of my subscribers. I do really appreciate it. If you would like to subscribe, that would be awesome. Help me out. I'm trying to get to 8K subscribers, of course, because I want to use that test server, but you know, obviously a subscription or two, or maybe even just liking the video would be fantastic. Now, this video is going to be about me trying to push in Tag Team Arena. So I'm going to try to see if I can push into Gold 2 Tag Team. It is Thursday at the time of this recording, and Sunday is reset. So who knows? Can I even get into the green? I've never tried to push Tag Team as hard as I've recently tried to push, just because I find it to be not super exciting. But I do need to push it for a multitude of reasons, right? And mainly it's because I want to push Platinum. I want to get this account as a free-to-play player into Platinum at some point. And to do so, I do need to make sure I'm in Gold 1. Why? Because, of course, Plarium likes to gate every single player from getting all these rewards. And mainly, it's this one right here. 5 to 6 star accessories worth 400 gold bars. Is so impactful, along with rank charms and rarity charms. I think those are also extremely impactful for free-to-play or very low-spend players. Of course, sacred shards and ranked chickens, we can get into that too, and legendary skill tomes, which you can't even farm other than, you know, clan boss, and maybe if you have tons of resources you could farm in tournaments, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. But it's this bad boy right here, the accessory. 6 star, I got a cleansing. Obviously, I want refresh. Refresh helps in so many ways. Whether it be in arena, whether it be in PvE and endgame content, it helps so substantially in speeding up runs and also getting an upper hand in arena or live arena, especially if those people who have like Kaimars. I know, you know, if you have a Kaimar and you have 2 or 3 refresh accessories on him and he's just constantly resetting your champions and sleeping the enemy, I'm sure you feel really good about that. And people that are on the other end of the stick on that, we don't like it too much. But that's what this is for. That's what Gold Tag Team Arena is for. You want to get yourself up here. Obviously, I really wish that Plarium could open this up to the whole player base. And even those who are in bronze, stuck in bronze, can at least progress. And they can push, because in bronze, you get so little bronze bars, or gold bars, excuse me. It'll still take a long time to get this sacred shard. So it'll probably take them at least 2, 3, 4 weeks just to get one sacred. And then you can't get the sacred again for another month anyways. So I guess I'm just not understanding where Plarium's mind's at with this and why they still haven't changed this in the game. Anyways, let's get into Tag Team Arena here. But I really do think they should change up the bazaar, add some new things, or make it more accessible to the player base, first and foremost. So we're going to be trying to fight some of these teams, and of course, just looking at them, they are very strong. I did do a few battles earlier today, and my defense does get hit pretty often. My defense is not super strong, but I did a few battles, and I won a few earlier today, 4 to 5 hours ago. So I know I can definitely get some wins here and there. It depends, though, because things tend to change as soon as you get to a Sunday, and you're getting closer and closer to the ranking period end. Your defense gets hit a lot more, and a defense makes a great offense as well. Like in sports, they always tell you your defense wins games. And in this case, in video games, it could literally translate to video games where your defense wins games. Okay, so if you go to your defense and you see mine's losing a lot in Gold 1, that means I need a better defense setup. Which means I could potentially, if I get myself into the green, I stay there and I don't drop. Or I might have teams that look like they're easy to win on defense, but they face those teams and they lose. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get through all of that in this video, but I'm going to try my best. But this is more of an offense side of things. But I could talk a little bit about defense. If you guys want me to, I'll talk more about a defense teams in a future video. but I may not get too deep into the defense side of things. So we're going to first start off at the top. And you can see they have a Cardinal team. They've got Ultimate Death Knight, who's super annoying. And you have to keep in mind nowadays, it's not like in the past where we didn't have Stone Skin and Polymorph with blessings and things like that. Now it's hard to tell for sure whether a team has, you know, all crazy champions. You can tell with Polymorph and stuff. You can't tell with Stone Skin or what the gear they have on. You have no idea. You don't know if they're in bolster. You don't know if they're in just regular shield sets, which people don't typically use them as often as they did in the past because they can be stripped very easily. But what you could do if you had a shield set is you can put those champions that have shield set or multiple champions with just shield set. If you can't get a bolster set because you're not as active, put a shield set on with Polymorph on 2 or 3 of your champions, and that could potentially help you out. So it is technically viable. Shield sets could technically come back, but you have to have Polymorph on multiple champions. So that way you get a chance of proccing sheep. Okay, so for this first team though, I know that Necrit's going to protect likely either Turvold or Stultus. More than likely it's going to be Turvold because Turvold's an attack-based champion. Normally defense-based champions scale a little bit higher with HP over attack-based champions. So Turvold's going to be protected. A champion like Supreme Alhaine, who I have, that's a more of a free-to-play friendly, right? Because I'm a free-to-play player, was a fusion champion. So this fusion champion does have some cool synergy in her kit, where with this ability, it ignores ally protection, strengthen, and shields. If it kills an enemy, she grants an extra turn. So the reason why Supreme Alhaine's so strong, specifically, Plarium was trying to build her to go against and compete against Necrit. Okay, everybody knows that. However, you can also see that there is Ultimate Death Knight. So that automatically kind of limits her a little bit right there because it doesn't go through passives other than the ones that are listed that I talked about. So Ultimate Death Knight will soak up 1 hit initially. The reason why I think Lana Tharil, also a fusion champion, is so strong is because he does have an ally attack. So ally attacks increases crit damage, goes in with a single hit on an enemy with their default skills. And so with that, it's actually so strong because of the fact that Lana Tharil's going to hit first because he's faster. Then it's going to be likely Arbiter, and then Uko, and then her. So that way her hits are the last one that hits onto Turvold or onto Stultus Dragonbane. The issue is the synergy between Necrit and with Ultimate Death Knight being so powerful. Uko comes into play, another fusion. I have a lot of fusions. So Uko has this amazing ability with block buffs, decrease accuracy, and a chance to remove 2 random buffs on the target. Now, if they have a bolster set, Uko's passive, or his ability here, not a passive, it doesn't really place block buffs. So you got to be careful with people with bolster sets. And a lot of times people either run a Ultimate Death Knight in bolster or Stone Skin. Stone Skin is obviously 99% of the time going to be what most people run in. Necrit is typically run in a very, very high bolster set or a very strong Stone Skin set. I tend to see people with Necrit in a bolster set, but I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that also run a Stone Skin, and nowadays you can actually run a Stone Skin and a bolster set together. I don't know how many people have that out there, but that's insane if you can get that. So the first team can be difficult. I do have a Void champion here. However, I personally like to use Samson against the Force Affinity. Issue is, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to end up using Ragash because we got Force here, Force here. I want to be positive affinity, right, with our Spirit against Force. I know a lot of people tend to make those simple mistakes too sometimes, where they don't actually choose the right affinity against the opponents that they're facing. So you want to make sure you're choosing the right affinity as well. Keep in mind that. So hopefully you can get lucky with just getting a weak hit on your champions. You can counterattack as well, potentially do that for the win. The next team here, we do have a very fast team. We've got Sifi, who's going to speed up, and then they're going to do a double hit with Hefrak. We've also got Mountain King, very strong single hit, and single hit Rodos, who is, in my opinion, top 3 in the game for attack-based champions to utilize in live arena and just in general arena. So I don't have Rodos. I wish I did, or else I'd be using him. So with Rodos here, he's a positive affinity against anybody that's spirit, right? So that's going to be a problem for me. I do have Basilius Aroneous, who is very helpful, but I also want to keep in mind revives. I can also potentially bring in an ally attacker as well, which is Lanicus the Chosen, very underrated champion. I don't have books in her, but she does have a chance to ally attack with this ability, 25%. It does book out to a 50% chance to grant an extra turn into the ally attack, because it goes increase crit rate, increase attack. Hopefully she takes another turn. Hopefully we can go in here and attack with 3 random allies. In arena, you're attacking with 3 random allies. So she's actually very powerful in arena. Now, Basilius Aroneous, in my opinion, is a strong champion. I've had him since like my first few months of playing. He was one of the first champions I pulled next to Battle Khazar. And I really like this guy. I recently re-geared him so that he has full damage. He has high speed. He's red affinity, so he's very strong against Rodos, and he's also strong against someone like a Mountain King. He can triple hit and kill him instantly. The problem here is I have to make sure that Sifi doesn't constantly sleep us. Sifi is going to be faster than us. I do have double Stone Skin, so I have Stone Skin on my Pythion, Stone Skin on my Duchess, so that definitely really helps. But the other issue we have here is we need to bring in someone who can soak up damage from the single target damage dealers, right? So that would be someone like Ultimate Death Knight, which means I would have to drop my Duchess, which could be detrimental to me because of the fact that Hefrak can double hit. But we're going to take that chance. We got increased defense here. We've got an ally attacker. And I could potentially bring in another damage dealer for ally attacks or counterattacks. But the issue is I don't want to get wrecked as well. So the only problem I'm going to have here is getting slept, I feel like, and being able to take as many turns as possible. Another thing I could potentially do is bring in... Now, I do have Little Miss Annie, which is one of 2 of my Void champions on my entire account. Little Miss Annie does have increase attack in all battles by 33%. I have no books in my Little Miss Annie as a free-to-play player because books are extremely hard to come by. But she's fairly strong for me. Triple hitters are always... Double hitters, triple hitters are always going to be very strong against champions like Rodos and against single target damage dealers, or just Void champions with double hits, triple hits in general. So we've got Aroneous with a triple hit. Increased attack will help him do even more damage to everybody. But do we take a hit and actually win, right? So I've got to take a look at the third team here. My third team has Duchess with a bolster set, Mithrala, who you can get from Hydra, Samson, who is positive affinity against Mountain King, but not positive affinity against the rest, right? Other than Sifi neutral. Now the issue here is I would still have to throw in, right here, some assistance. And do we have enough damage to kill them? I think we do. So I will go ahead and put this team here. Hopefully we can take hits from Hefrak. Hefrak's a very strong champion with a big nuke. The next team we have here is Speed Cardinal. So Cardinal is basically there to revive everybody if they die. We've got most likely Stone Skin on Gaius the Gleeful. So he's got bombs. So what I would want to do is go with a high resist. Now, a couple things you can do here. You could go all out speed as well. But the issue is he has Stone Skin, right? So what I typically do against teams like with Cardinal I go Foley, and then I will go with someone like Wukong who can strip Stone Skin, but he doesn't have enough accuracy on my team, so I have to rebuild him at some point. Or because I don't see anybody in Polymorph, I could go for a straight bomb team. All bombs, as much damage as possible, as quick as possible. So that's probably the goal here. We're going to go with bombs. We're going to go with Wukong anyways for damage. And we're also going to bring in an increased accuracy, because many times Cardinal's built with high resistance. So we want to build in an increased accuracy champ, and we also want to bring in a speed champ. So ultimately at the end, we will speed ourselves up. We have Wukong there to help assist as needed, but we have an increased accuracy, which will help my Wukong as well. And then we have bombs because there's no polymorph. So the goal is, hopefully, based on what I just talked about, I can get all 3 wins, no problem. This is also the thing about tag team that's a little bit frustrating, is that it takes so long. So every single champion is in Stone Skin on this team. So this is going to be a very, very challenging team, because I have to make sure I can remove Stone Skin to do any type of damage, right? And I didn't get lucky at all. Nobody got stripped at all, which is very, very unlucky. That doesn't usually happen, but it can happen. So now I need to basically protect myself. So I could end up losing this just because of the fact that they have all Stone Skin, right? Let's go ahead and put shields. Now I do have my Lonatharil in protection set, so that's nice. But again, we could still end up losing potentially. Let's go ahead and attack him, take him out. So he's dead. They have no reviver, which is helpful as well. I could revive now, but I'm going to potentially, I will go ahead and revive just because I only have 1 strength in 1 turn, which means I want to revive now, put the block damage. They attack there, they provoke. That's very unfortunate. So we're going to go after Necrit next. And high accuracy on the Ultimate Death Knight as well. Let's see if we can put a stun on Stultus. No stun, that really stinks. What we'll do next is I got a fear, so I have a 50% chance to fear, and we feared, unfortunately. So I want to hold off. Do I want to hold off on our Destiny's Call, which is the revive, but it also increases speed by 20%, which can be beneficial, but I think they're going to take a turn before me. So we're going to risk it. I think we're going to risk it because he has an AoE. Actually, he might have already used it. No, he didn't. He didn't use it yet. I risked it. High risk. But we could potentially still win because we killed Necrit because he's protecting and now he's dead. And we still won, luckily. But that was a tough one because they had all Stone Skin. Like I said, you can't really prepare for all the time where everybody's going to have Stone Skin like that. You just don't always know. It's really difficult to prepare for that. So I just prepare based on what I'm seeing. If I see Polymorph, I want to try to synergize my teams as much as possible with what I've got. Like something like this. I want to defend, right? So what I can do is she sped up first. If I want to take a hit from Hefrak, I want to put Strengthen. Okay? Now, I could potentially not use that, but I'm going to use it now anyways, just because I want Strengthen so they do less damage to my Stone Skin, less damage to my team right here, so he couldn't get through the shields whatsoever. Now, you could debate that he probably wouldn't have been able to get through my shields to begin with and do that double hit if he gets our champion's health down to halfway. He has that specific ability to do that. But that didn't happen. So now we're sort of counterattacking, but I'm not going to use the A2 yet. Now I could try to take out Sifi, potentially. The other thing about his A2 ability is increased defense. He removes them from the champions. But what I'm going to do is just A1 and kill her like this. procs his, sets off Hefrak's ability, and now we're off to the races. So there we go. Now they're going to go ahead and petrify themselves. I just have it on auto, AoE. When he does kill an enemy with that AoE like that, where he jumps in the air and slams, procs a second hit, which is nice. So this is GG's. We got this win as well. Now, hopefully we can get the last win too. All right, so we're not on auto. So like I said, I did call it like I saw it. We've got resistance most likely with 2-turn Stone Skin. We've got 1-turn Stone Skin with high accuracy, so that way they can land bombs on us, because Gaius the Gleeful has a passive where it lands bombs on the enemy team. Every time they attack them, it's a chance to land a bomb. So the first thing I want to do is I want to speed ourselves up. I want to increase our accuracy. Again, we got a fear as well. Yoshi the Drunkard's a very strong champion. Very, very old fusion from like 2 years ago. So many people might not have that. I increase our accuracy, which means we can potentially steal. Now, he did bomb us, and when Gaius dies, the bombs go off. So now we're going to place bombs because we have high enough accuracy to even place it on Cardinal. Cardinal's going to take a turn in a second. She's going to take a turn, die. Boom, there we go. And there's your 3 wins. So not bad. Like I said, the other thing about Tag Team Arena is this takes so long to set up. If you really want to focus on killing teams and making sure you're winning, you have to set some time aside. I mean, that took me, what, 10, 15 minutes? Of course, I'm explaining things to you along the way, but it takes a while to run every single run. Now, there are teams where, like this is a very, very difficult team with the +2s. Now, of course, he's got Ramantu here. Now, these champions on the second team probably have Stone Skin. Now, I have been recently seeing a lot of Sifis and Stone Skin as well. They don't have any polymorph. So, potentially, I could run this team here. The only issue is I would be depending on Yoshi the Drunkard. The issue is he doesn't speed up our team. So it only fills his turn meter. And because Sifi places block debuffs, we can't place fears. So that's a bit of a tough challenge right here. Sifi's probably at least 350 speed, 380 speed. So it's very, very fast. Plus, they've got Torment and this bad boy right here in Baron. So Baron's going to nuke everybody. They also have Lydia, and Lydia blocks Revive. So this is a challenging team as well. The first team is just speed. They're going to lock us out. They want to strip our buffs, and they want to nuke. That's it. That's a very basic team. It can be countered, but it also could be difficult as well, because people tend to put Warlord in a Stone Skin these days too, or they put him in immunity, but a lot of times I see Warlord and Stone Skin 1 turn. So let's see what happens. Let's see. So I could, if I had faith in my speed, which I'm actually very slow. My champion Arbiter is only 366 speed, so I don't have a ton of faith in her for going fast. Now the third team, the issue here is they have mostly heavily forced champions, and you don't want to bring in an AoE against Morty Macabre almost ever. Unless you think, or you have a lot of faith in someone like, for example, I would recommend using Sun Wukong, who's just such a powerful champion. He's a powerhouse. And the ability that I would use with him is the Staff of Wonder to sheep this guy right here in Morty Macabre. So when he comes back to life, that Stone Skin is gone. He has half health. You go in, you kill him right away, especially if they don't have Ultimate Death Knight on the team. So keep that in mind. Now, for this first team, what we could do, now things that you can do against Foley, good ways to counter Foley is putting in Ultimate Death Knight. Because Foley's first initial hit it's kind of powerful, but it's not that strong. You can honestly tank Foley with Stone Skin or a heavy bolster set. So a team like this right here that I had last time is my Go second team. I have bolster set with Mithrala, who can't get locked out, and I have Samson, who does tank, but Samson is negative affinity against Foley. The only issue is there's a chance that if I put in a red affinity like Aroneous, for example, he could end up weak hitting against Aroneous, but there's also a chance that he gets a strong hit or a critical hit against Aroneous and kills him through the bolster. Whereas this champion in Samson, even though he's weak affinity, he has a lot of HP and a lot of defense, and he's built for damage. So I prefer to bring in him against someone like Foley, because if he kills anybody else, if he gets back around to his abilities, and he can counterattack. But if he can kill anybody else, then he hits with that main ability right here, places an extra hit if the attack kills an enemy. So that's the goal. The other thing about Ultimate Death Knight is Foley AoEs the first hit and single targets his second hit, which is this ability right here. Foley also has a passive that increases his turn meter by 50% and heals him whenever somebody places a stun, freeze, sleep, or provoke. So you got to be very careful about Foley's passive. The one thing I'm a little concerned about would be the stun, where it would increase the turn meter on Foley. But unfortunately, or fortunately for me, once Foley uses this ability, because he doesn't have a reset champ, that's it. The only person I'm super worried about is this one right here where it blocks passives. Okay, blocking passives means that Samson, passive right here, 50% chance of counterattacking the attacker when hit with a strong, normal, or weak hit. So basically anytime he gets hit, or not a critical, but strong, normal, or weak. So, and then it says counterattacks the attacker when hit with a critical every single time. So that's a very strong passive, and he just straight up blocks it out. Now, I do have Mithrala, who is in there to be able to cleanse the block passives, so we should be okay. Ultimate Death Knight blocks that second hit. The only person that Warlord locks out is these three. Okay, 1, 2, 3, but won't lock out Mithrala because she has such high resistance. All right, I know that was a long-winded talk about that, but I do love diving deep into the synergies of the teams and how you can counter them. So a second team here, also very, very challenging team. Best to bring in, now Warlord or Baron is extremely difficult to go against no matter how you face him. Honestly, because it's paired with this guy right here, Tormund, who's going to place freezes, this is a very challenging team to go against because Baron just nukes everything down, right, with the Sky Piercer, ignores shield and block damage, as well as 50% of the target's defense. If he's in a Savage set, ignores now 75%. If he has Helm Smasher and it procs, will ignore 100% of your defense. So you have to have high defense and high HP basically against Baron in order to beat him. If this is set up with a Kymar, even worse. Now, the one thing that I could do to win is go all speed, right? They also, now the other thing is they have the blessing that decreases our turn meter. And that blessing is, which I want to show you it. So sometimes I go here to just remember the name of the blessings and what they're using to try to beat you. The blessing is called Temporal Chains. So it decreases each enemy's speed for each active buff they're under, except for the buffs placed at the start of the round. So a 5-star blessing for this would mean that it decreases enemy speed by 5% for each active buff up to 15%, which is pretty insane. So if I were to place buffs, and anytime you speed up with this ability, one buff gets placed, which then means, boom, you've already lost speed, and then Sifi can take a turn, and then they counterattack basically, and they go second and win. Now, what I'm going to try to do is take out Baron. Now, a lot of people do Stone Skin Barons these days, so if he's Stone Skin, we have a higher chance of winning. Another thing I could do too is bring in somebody like, instead of Lanatharo, I could also bring in Helikath, right? Now this says it ignores block damage, so we actually don't want Helikath. So you want an unkillable champion. That unkillable champion could be someone like Sir Nicholas. If you have him going really fast, he can place unkillable and continuous heals, and then we won't get nuked down. However, they have Torment, so if he places those 2 buffs, because he doesn't place block debuffs, he's going to be a difficult champion to use, right? So you'd want to use somebody like this one right here, Maneater, and you could also use somebody like this right here, Elva, if you have her, where she can cleanse the Tormund's debuffs, the freeze, because even though I speed up, he's not an immunity, so that's a problem. So we want to make sure we can take a turn and then nuke down, okay? So we're going to use Ragash. I don't know if he's going to be strong enough though, but he does have a nice decreased defense in his kit with a stun potential. And I do have him in 282 accuracy. They don't have polymorph. So we're going to try this team out and hopefully we can win, but temporal chains could beat us. Now, the last team right here, we want to go with ally attack, or because they have polymorph, I'm a little bit nervous with going with bombs. I could go with bombs, but they also have a cleanser too. So we're going to actually want to go with someone like Sun Wukong. We want to go with ally attack, and then we want to go with Pythion, and I could also go with, let's see, well, actually Duchess is going to be better. Reason being is she's spirit affinity, so she might actually be better than Pythion, but you could use Pythion as well. He just would take more damage from these champs. I would also end up using either Ultimate Death Knight here because of the single targets, but because I'm wasting my Ultimate Death Knight up here, not wasting him, I'm utilizing him up here, which means I can't use him down here. Unless you have 2 Ultimate Death Knights, that's pretty fantastic. So in this case, I may, let's see, I could bring in bombs because more than likely they're going to have Stone Skin Pythion. And Mountain King hits like a truck. So I may end up doing this. Putting in Pythion so I have double Reviver. Or Pythion might not even be in Stone Skin, but the chance is very high that he is in Stone Skin. I could also put in Basilius Aroneous and try to triple hit. So that might be the best thing. The issue with Candrafon, his passive is very strong. Places a perfect veil on this champion for 1 turn each time an enemy's turn meter is filled, and it cannot be removed. And if you have any turn meter masteries, that means that he'll place a perfect veil. So you gotta be extremely careful with Candrafon. So if you have masteries that fill turn meter, this goes off every single time and he hits so hard. So we're going to try this out and see if it works. And I think this will be the last one because, of course, this video could be extremely long. Okay, we got lucky there. We only got 2 passives. We did resist the lockout, I think, too, on my Duchess. Resisted there as well. And then we're just going to go in with a nuke. Boom. He does have the swift parry on Foley, so that's a problem, right? He survived. But if Foley died, then everybody else would have likely died with that ability from Samson. All right, so we're just going to go A2. And like I said, it kind of worked really well with the synergy. Ultimate Death Knight helped a lot. Let's go ahead and just take out Arbiter so they can't revive. And that's the game. So that's not a bad one there. Okay. Let's go ahead and take out him, Ramantu, and now it's over. GG's. So even though we get locked out from Warlord, Samson is extremely one of the most powerful Go Second champions in the game. So we actually lucked out. They don't have Stone Skin on their champions. They just have a very fast. So see what I mean? Right here, I got frozen, but they just have a very fast Sifi. So I'm still going to do this and place unkillable. I want to remove that freeze with Elva. They were able to take a turn. I still want to smack though. I wasn't able to kill Baron, but we were close. We were close. Okay, we might actually win right here, and we would have died from Baron right there. We would have died right there. See if we can steal that turn meter So she resisted, which is really unhelpful for me, or unlucky. Can we still win this? Let's see. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take out Baron. Ooh. Oof. Okay, we could potentially lose. Let's see. Okay. Decrease turn meter? Nope, resisted. Yikes. Okay, we might actually lose this one. Maybe I shouldn't have used my increased speed. So we'll get slept by Sifi. Okay, she sped up instead, but I don't have enough. Yeah, unfortunately I got frozen. I could have gotten the heal or the revive right then. So I did lose to the second team, which is unfortunate. So what we're going to do first is we're just going to go ahead and take out Pythion. He doesn't have a stone skin, which I'm surprised, but he has candy and stone skin. So we'll go ahead and do this. So Pythion's gone right away. We go ahead and veil ourselves. I can now triple hit right into him. Boom, gone. 60, 40, 38. That's a lot of damage from Basilius Aroneous. And then the goal here is to hopefully steal a stone skin, which we just stole it from Mortu Macabre. He parries into her, which did nothing because of stone skin. And now we take it away. So we do end up winning this one. 69,000 damage on the A1 is not bad. Boom, turn him into a sheep. He comes back alive. Now I didn't use it on Mortu Macabre, which is what I explained, but I didn't have to. So I could have, but I didn't need to. Anyways, that's kind of the synergy that I have. You know, I'm getting closer and closer into the green. But like I said, it takes a long time to get these fights going and to actually win. I do have a feeling, like I have a strong feeling that I would make it into Gold 2 live tag team arena. But it takes time. It takes time. You got to really think about each team before you go into battle. You think about each team. You look at their blessings that they have on them. Can you bring in debuffs? Like this team, I could not even bring in debuffs because more than likely I'm going to get sheeped every time. But you kind of have to bring in debuffs. Whereas Sun Wukong would come in here, increase accuracy would come in here, and I would try to sheep Helikath because he places the block buffs. But I would have to be fast because he's slow. So you got to really, really think about it. And sometimes you do have to just take a risk. Sometimes you take the risk and try to debuff them or strip their buffs to win. But, you know, sometimes you take big risks for high rewards and sometimes you lose. But anyways, that's going to be it for this one. Let me know if you like that. Different synergies that I had as a free-to-play player. Now, again, this could be like an hour or 2 hour video, but I just don't want to do that to you guys. But I really appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you guys on a video soon. Take care.